Well, Aldi is the latest supermarket giant to axe Australia Day merchandise from its stores, joining Woolworths on the Australia Day hating bandwagon. Let's bring in tonight's panel to discuss this. Joining me now is media writer at The Australian, Sophie Ellsworth, and PR Counsel Managing Director, Kristy McSweeney. Sophie, I know you talked to Andrew Bolt about this last night when the story was breaking with Woolworths. Now, just as we've gone to air tonight, we have Aldi joining in. I mean, I know Coles has said they're not going to do it, but it really does feel like these woke corporates are trying to tell us how to live our lives, but we know when it came to the voice, it didn't work.
Well, that's right, Caleb, and you pointed that out in your editorial tonight. Look, Woolworths should have really listened to their shoppers, because there was a backlash when they were running those pro-voice messages across their, loudspeakers in their Woolworths and Big W stores, should I say. That was problematic for them. Now, the thing here, though, Woolworths are not stocking these items. So Coles are saying they will stock some items. Well, Caleb, I'm searching high and low. I went into my local Coles. There's no Australia Day items in there as of yesterday. I looked online. All you can buy, if you're searching Australia Day at the moment, is echidna serviettes and koala face masks. So come on, is that honestly what Coles are going to do? Now, I want to see what they are doing. Perhaps they're going to rush out and throw a few things on the shelves. But this is really quite appalling, because what they're ultimately doing is stopping Australians, and as you said, a majority of Australians who support Australia Day, from making that decision when they go into the supermarket. If they want to buy a flag, thongs, whatever it is, a stubby holder, let them. But they're dictating to shoppers now, no, you cannot celebrate that if you come to our stores. And I think that is a real problem in this country, Caleb. Where is, the ability for Australians to actually be proud of this country? And if they choose to buy something, let them.
Well, I dare say if you walked into any small business run by a non-white Australian, you would be more likely to find Australia Day merchandise than you would in a shop run by a white Australian, because it's this awful self-loathing that seems to have gotten hold of us, same as all these big corporates. And of course, Kristy, you've had calls today from Peter Dutton. I said the same thing at the top of the show. Woolworths, Aldi, boycott them. If you're not happy with the decision they've made, take your dollar elsewhere, because that dollar does matter.
Well, certainly, and I think a lot of Australians will boycott them. As you said in your editorial, and as Sophie mentioned, $50 million in funding from corporates towards The Voice, trying to tell Australians that if they don't vote for it, they don't support reconciliation. That is simply not true. The constitutional referendum has nothing to do with whether you, an individual, support or don't support reconciliation. It was simply people couldn't vote for a model that they didn't understand, which wasn't explained to them. But also, I hope people boycott Woolworths. I hope it opens up revenue opportunities for the hundreds of thousands of small businesses in Australia who employ Australians, who open through significant long trading hours, public holidays, your IGAs, your Metcash businesses and your small corner stores. And the other thing I would say in regards to this, Woolworths, a South African company, also operate in America. The last time I looked, they still sell and stock and celebrate Thanksgiving products. I don't know what makes Australia Day unique in not celebrating this Australian unique national day, if they can do it in the United States for Thanksgiving. And I think a lot of virtue signalling in corporates goes on, and they want to signal to the Albanese government that they are on side with them for political expedience. And I will say, Woolies probably sniffs a price gouging inquiry coming on, and this is their way of currying favour with the government. But brand damage and customer reputation damage lasts a lot longer than governments in these very short 3-year political cycles that we have. And it's going to take Woolworths a lot longer to get over this than it will take them to get through an inquiry.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I said about those donations during the Voice campaign. They weren't donations to the Voice, they were effectively donations to the Albanese government, just saying, you know, it's okay, we're on side, particularly mining and resources sector. I mean, come on. It was so obvious, wasn't it? Now, in a bid to fight the rise of artificial intelligence-generated deep fakes, so these are, you know, videos and whatever of people who aren't actually the people they're purported to be, but, it could be anyone, it could be an actor, it could be me, for heaven's sake, and it looks real, like I've said it, but it's not. The Fox Corporation in the US has launched a new tool that helps verify the authenticity of news content. Sophie, I mean, this is only going to get worse. This stuff is all over the shop now. Some of it is extremely convincing. We're going to need this technology not only in the US, but with Australian media and UK media and pretty much everywhere soon, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, Caleb. And look, great move by Fox there. This is a giant can of worms, AI. It's very problematic for so many industries, particularly the media industry. The illegal use of content, copyright issues. And we've just seen that case with New York Times suing Microsoft and OpenAI for the ChatGPT tool, claiming that they're using New York Times articles. The claim is without, payment and so forth. This is very, very serious stuff. This could cost a lot of jobs, not just in the media, Caleb, across so many industries worldwide. So this is the beginning of what is going to be a long fight with companies versus AI, because they're effectively going to put people out of jobs. And look, I've got friends who are telling me in their professional workplaces they are using AI to basically fast-track their work. This is frightening stuff. This will cost jobs. And I think watch this space, because we're going to see more of this in the coming years, Caleb.
I might get AI to write me an editorial or something tomorrow night and see how much crap it can come up with, or whether it sounds like me. I wonder whether it could do that or not. Now, this pill testing's sort of back on the agenda, Kristy. You had a spate of overdoses at a rave in Melbourne on the weekend. But now there's calls for the Victorian state government to introduce a real-time emergency drug alert system. So presumably, if there is a spate of overdoses, I don't know, they just sort of put the information out straight away to say, oh, there's a bad batch of ecstasy or whatever it might be out there. All these things, surely ultimately it comes down to personal responsibility. If you're going to take illicit drugs, you accept that something might go wrong. Why is it everyone else's job to make sure that you can take illicit drugs and nothing goes wrong?
Look, the message that is not getting out there is that all illegal importation into Australia of illicit substances, and that includes drugs and narcotics, that includes illegal tobacco, that includes the illicit vapes that are on the streets that teenagers are currently getting addicted to. It is all about supporting organised crime. And if you legitimise illegal, illicit product, you are legitimising illegal, illicit, organised crime. Now, you'll never hear me say this ever again, Caleb and Sophie, but the only political party that has any consistency on harm minimisation across the board is the Australian Greens, who are saying, well, we're a harm reduction party, we want pill testing, we want legalisation of marijuana, but we also want the federal government to ban these illegal vapes and have a regulated product for people to buy that are tested by the health authorities. That's a consistent message. There are factions within the Labor Party that are all at sea on harm minimisation across the board on all of these illicit organised crime coming into Australia, these organised crime products coming into Australia. The National Party has a good position on legalising harm reduction, legalising vaping. But the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, you want to support harm minimisation in one corner and not in another, just because people are reacting to try and find a solution to, as you say, personal responsibility. We know they're bad for you, but they support bikie gangs. They support organised crime. They support putting legitimate people out of business.
Of course. What a surprise. Blonde bombshell. Sophie Ellsworth, Kristy McSweeney, thank you so much for your time.